Hello everybody, for those of you that are tuned in and good to go, iRacing South Africa Touring Car Challenge 2022. As you can see, we're almost ready to go live. There's still 12 minutes of the practice session, and as soon as we go to qualifying, we'll be going live with you right here where you are on the YouTube channel for iRacing South Africa. Everybody, for all of those that have joined us already on iRacing South Africa, this is just about time for the countdown for the Touring Car Challenge 2022. They are 11 minutes 10 seconds into the practice session, and as we go into the qualifying, we'll be going live with you from the Chllenge circuit in Japan.
Well, with 5 minutes to go in the practice sessions, we see Julian Familiaris out there on the track in the Hyundai. And well, hello everybody, and welcome to round two of the Touring Car Racing Championship. We've got just under 4.5 minutes to go in the practice session right here at Tsukuba International Raceway in Japan. And Gary Fleming will be joining us, Mike's side. Myself, Frankie Innes from Second Gear Talk Show, Second Gear Productions, and the Western Cape Motorsport commentators. And we're looking at Julian Familiaris making his way around. So with just under 4 minutes to go, Gary, good evening from the production side as we're looking forward to round number 2. And if this is going to be anything to go by according to what round number 1 was, I think we're going to be in for a fantastic show this evening.
Yep, there were numerous people that said we want to watch the practice, and we said, no, we're not going to see the practice. We're going to only go live with the pictures once we get to the qualifying, so it'll be completely open season for everybody in terms of what to expect when they see these cars out on circuit. Just 3.5 minutes to go, and we're going to be going live from Tsukuba in Japan. With just 1.5 minutes to go in the practice session, we'll be coming to you live in 90 seconds from now. Hello everybody, good day to you one and all, and welcome to round number 2 of the Touring Car Challenge. And joining me as usual, one of the voices of Western Province Motorsport, Chllenge International Raceway, and a regular commentator of motorsport over the last 2.5 decades, Frankie Innes. Frankie, good day to you.
Good day, Gary, the other voice of Western Province Motorsport. We're coming to you from the Second Gear Talk Show and Second Gear Production Studio. And we are at Tsukuba Raceway in Japan, where the track is just over 2 km long, a very short circuit, 25 meters above sea level, temperature 23 degrees out there. That will be track temperature. The weather is 21 degrees, partly cloudy, 18 km/h wind, 32% chance of precipitation, but that probably won't happen, as Gary was saying. Round number 2 of the Touring Car Challenge Championship.
So the man you see out there on circuit, the first man out with qualifying, Julian Familiaris in the 43 car, resident in South Africa, the man that's leading the championship after just one event. He's got 25 points behind his name, and well, he is always one of the top contenders in any race that he goes out in, and we look forward to seeing him putting the pace up there for us today once again. The man that's directly in there behind him is Umpi Swart from Pumpini Motors. You see he's warming up the tyres there for this, the second round of the South African Touring Car iRacing Challenge. He's on 24 points. The next man in behind that on 23, that's Michael Stephen. The Michael Stephen on 23 points. And then it's nice to tell you that the man that actually put this whole thing together for us is in the top runnings, Jaco Steyn on 21. And rounding out that top 5, another very well-known racer out there, and that is this man you see on screen. That is Byron Mitchell. So everybody goes out there, they get one sighting warm-up lap. Once they complete the first flying lap, which is then going to be a full lap time, there you see it coming up now after 2 minutes 26, and the man that goes straight to the front end of the field on his first flying run, Jason Coetzee.
Yeah, Jason Coetzee so far the quickest man out there in the 59.337. 2/10 of a second behind him is Atti Nagel. Only then, look in third position, Yuri Swart Sr. Currently dropping down now to P6. So Michael Stephen goes fastest out there with a 58.966. Everybody should do under a minute around Tsukuba Raceway. Michael doing a 58.9, and Byron Mitchell a 1/10 of a second there behind him with a PB of 59.142 for Byron Mitchell. 3 minutes out the 10 done. There is Jason Coetzee, the man that's currently in provisional 3rd position on the grid. And Carl McCarthy in the Sujin Properties Audi is there in that 5th position. And he drops a bit further down because Jonty Weiss has pipped that position from him. But it's all about Yuri Umpi Swart. He's the man there on pole with a 58.386.
Rounding out the top 5, Jaco Steyn. There he comes now, the man that put this whole series together. And I spoke to him the first time about the series. I said to him, Jaco, what's the mojo behind this? He says, I think this is a series that can work. I'm putting it out there, going to go for season 1, see how it works, see how much interest there is in it. And well, after the very first race, he said, I never even dreamed that there would be such a high interest rate in something like this. I think we're going to have a good look at this one. I think this could be one of the top series in iRacing in South Africa.
And I would certainly agree with Jaco Steyn on that one. Atti Nagel in the 028 car. We don't see a shot of him at this point in time. He could be in the pit area. There is Jonty Weiss coming out of that final long right-hander, the final corner at Tsukuba. Down the main straight, Jonty Weiss goes into turn number 1. And look at those times chopping and changing. Hey, Daniel Rowe is there in that 8th position with a 59.0. I just saw Daniel Rowe's name pop up there in a P8.
Just finished his second lap, that's why he's stopping.
Right, so he is there in that 8th position. Nathan Victor has also come up onto the leaderboard. He is there in 9th position. Janeman Prius making his way into the pit area with 5 minutes of the 10 minutes qualifying session completed.
As you can see, once you've done your second lap, the computer will throw you out and say, thanks very much, nice for you to be here, and that's as far as you can go. Well, another man coming into pits, that is Jared Paul. Not a well-known name to us, but he's managed to find himself up onto 16th position on the grid.
Yeah, just ahead of Ines Botma, and that's also a new name. That's there in that 17th position. And then rounding off the top 18 so far is Johan Grobler, and he did take part a couple of weeks ago in the first race meeting of the SA Touring Car Racing Challenge.
Well, we've still got two guys out there that are out on circuit and have not put up times yet. That's Clinton Bezuidenhout. So he obviously went out a little bit later, or he went off on his first attempt out on circuit and thus did not get a lap time attached to his name. There he comes through. That's actually a very tricky corner. We'll tell you a little bit about the intricacies of that one. And he moves himself in, Clinton Bezuidenhout, inside of the top 15 South African Polo Cup racer, and he's in there for the road run.
Yeah, it's just ahead of Brett Thompson. That's there in that 15th position in car 29. Brett Thompson out there in the Honda. So 20 of them so far that have posted times as Brent makes his way under the Dunlop Bridge. He'll go into that left-hander. Then there's a little left kink which takes you into that banked right-hander. And then when you come out of that banked right-hander, then it's all she's got. You climb on the gas, you go down that long straight. Pit lane you'll see there at the bottom of the straight on the driver's right-hand side, and then into that final long corner. It does seem to want to close up onto you slightly round about there when you come out and you exit that corner, and then down that long home straight back into turn number 1. So, yeah, 20 drivers out there on circuit.
Yep, and Brent Thompson doing a 59.337. That brings him inside the top 15, outside of the top 10. Because of the pace at which these cars are going around the circuit, these touring cars are blindingly quick. You climb on the loud pedal, they accelerate phenomenally quickly. If you climb on the brake pedal, they stop just as quick. And for that reason, inside of 1 minute per lap, they had 10 minutes in total to be able to put their laps up. Everybody has in fact done their laps already, but the computer is set to give us that 10-minute lapsed period. So nothing's going to happen on the iRacing screen until such time as that 10 minutes goes up. Then it will give us the grid board. So frankly, just looking a little bit at the history of the series, this is the second race. It's a new initiative that was put together by Jaco Steyn. And that first race, wow, was that not amazing, with Julian Familiaris and Umpi Swart coming out first and second.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing stuff. So much that Gary and myself turned around and said, we need to do this whole series if possible. And it's a privilege to be back here again to do round number 2 of the SA Touring Car Racing Challenge. So as the camera just pans around Stakuba Raceway, that Dunlop Bridge, one of the famous bridges in the world, is always a Dunlop Bridge. And Yuri Swart done a 58.357. Familiaris, 900ths of a second behind Swart. And then Jaco Steyn, 0.3 of a second in there behind Julian. And Jason Coetzee, a 1/10 of a second behind Jaco Steyn. So that's the first 4 cars. The first 2 rows on the grid. And then row 3 will be P5 and 6. That's Michael, Stephen and Byron Mitchell. Row 4 will be Ati Nagel and Daniel Rowe. And row 5 will be Clinton Bezuidenhout and Nathan Victor, a young man that's very active right here in Cape Town in GTI Challenge racing.
It would have been nice if we could chase the clock on and move it straight into the race, but such is the nature of iRacing that once you set the clocks, it runs specifically according to that. So you'll see we're on 9 minutes 40, 20 seconds to go, and then it will allow all the drivers sitting in their man cave or in their studio at home throughout South Africa, wherever they are, each guy on his own premises, in his own environment at home, having put the necessary lap times in. He's now just sitting waiting for the opportunity to get out there onto the grid as such. So there the grid's going to come up for us now. Let's have a look at that. As you said, Frankie, front row of the grid, Yuri Swart and Julian Familiaris. Now, keep in mind that Julian Familiaris is in fact leading the championship. Umpi Swart is in fact second. And then Jaco Steyn, lovely, well done. The man that initiated the series, Jaco Steyn, alongside him, the young gun, Jason Kutsia.
Yeah, then Michael Stephen and Byron Mitchell, P7 and 8 is Ati Nagel and Daniel Rowe. Daniel Rowe, an established GTC racing driver here in South Africa. Then Clinton Besaidenout and Nathan Victor. They round off the first 5 rows of the grid.
Yep, behind Nathan Victor, there's still a lot of very quick car driver combinations out there, the likes of John T. Weiss, Brent Thompson, Carl McCarthy, Janeman Prius, Yuri Swart Senior, Robbie Teens, Vanna Swart, Jared Paul's in there as well, Ines Botma and Johan Grobler. That is the full complement of drivers that's going to be out there, and looks like we're going to be going for a standing start. Look at that, Hyundai, 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 Hyundai. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. When they go off, it's all systems go. Frankie, take them off the line.
Right away they go, and somebody that got getting bogged down on the line there heavily. But it's all about Umpi Swart. Umpi Swart moving up then to P1. Look at Michael Stephen. He sits on the outside of Familiaris. They're still side by side as they go into that left-hander. Michael Stephen and Julian Familiaris. Behind them is Byron Mitchell, Jason Kutsia into that left-hander. They go now. Somebody just went ploughing off to the right-hand side of that circuit. Under the Dunlop Bridge they go, heading down into the slight left-hander. Then there's a king coming up, and then that hairpin banked right-hander. That's where they're going through now, as we have a look at Jason Kutsia making his way through. Now, it's that long straight and that flat box into that long right-hander, which will take you to the start-finish line.
Well, they've already got themselves a line astern as they work their way through, as you said, a very short circuit, so it's going to be very, very close racing using the track and more. It's Umpi Swart from Michael Stephen, Julian from the Yaris from the front row of the grid down into that 3rd position. You won't be too happy with that one, having lost out, but he's having a go at the tail end and trying to make sure that he doesn't lose out, because getting away at the front is Umpi Swart, and we all know if Umpi gets away, well, he's up the road, gone, dusted. You will not find him again.
Well, we'll have to look at see all the different gaps between these cars. There's not much between those 20 at this point in time. Clinton Besaidenout sitting out there in that 5th position, and there's nothing between Clinton Besaidenout and Byron Mitchell. That's just in there ahead of him. Then it's a Familiaris. Michael Stephen is at the sharp end of the field, and leading them is Umpi Swart. So Umpi's beginning to pull the pin on this one already as they head towards the end of the 2nd lap.
Janeman Prius right in there and trying to hold sway. Look at that long right-hand corner using all the curbstone and more right on the outside line. Now you go uphill, and it's a blind rise entrance to that corner. Look at gingerly on the steering, trying to turn it in. He actually turned it in a little bit too late. That cost him pretty dearly. Janeman Prius looking at the tail end of Ati Nagel. Daniel Rowe just in front of it. That's the blue car. The Rowe family, most of their cars, they always have in that blue colors, as that long train of cars heads out in front of them.
Yeah, under the Dunlop Bridge they go now. Janeman Prius sitting a bit further down, but that is your race leader, Yuri Swart Jr., known as Umpi Swart to us, as they go down there. But look at this train of cars for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, etc., etc., as they go down that long back straight into the final corner. And that group has been led there by Familiaris. Right behind him is Mitchell, Besaidenout, Steyn, Michael Stephen, Jason Kutsia, Nathan Victor, Daniel Rowe. They're all in that fight. We look at the Ines Botma that sits there in that 13th position. He's one of a few new names that's popped up into tonight's race. Didn't do the first one. Him together with Werner Swart, 1 or 2 other names. Botma sitting out there in that 13th position in the Audi. But Yuri Swart finds himself 3.2 seconds ahead of Familiaris, that man that you see in screen there in that 2nd position. And he's got Byron Mitchell and Clinton Besaidenout right there on his case. Clint in turn has got Jaco Steyn and Jason Coetzee in there as well. Nathan Victor busy cutting and carving his way through, followed there by Michael Steven, Daniel Rowe and Atti Nagel.
Atti Nagel right in there, and that pretty much rounds out the top 10. Let's go back to the front end of the field. Well, we're looking at Julian from the RS, but is 3.4 seconds further up the road is this man. Umpi Swart, Polo Cup 2021, second overall behind the Universal Healthcare lead driver in a Leighton Fourie, and well, it was so close. He could just as well have won that Polo Cup championship, and he is very, very good on the iRacing side of things. You see, there he is. Here comes the rest of the pack. Julian from the RS, Byron Mitchell in there behind him. Then Clinton Mercedes, also a National Polo Cup racer. In there behind that is Jaco Steyn. That's a lovely looking spraying job that you see as he goes into the tight right hander. You've got to try and feather it that you come out there as quick as possible, because this long straight, the quicker you come out of that corner, you carry that speed all the way up that straight, and it's crucial to be able to get that straight 100% right. Now going through that right hander, you've really got to feather it off. There's miles too much pace to be able to carry it through there, and if you come in too hard, it drifts you right towards the outside. With these cars, you have to roll slightly out of the gas to rotate the vehicle to make it turn better, and that costs you dearly. So the entrance to that long right-hander, very, very important. Julian from the RS taking a little bit of a gap now out of Byron Mitchell.
Yeah, made his way into that hairpin left-hander, now working towards the Dunlop Bridge, as the rest of the field just swarm underneath that Dunlop Bridge. There's Daniel Rowe. You have a look at all of them. There is literally nothing. If you look from P1 to P20, you see all those yellow interval sectors. That shows you exactly how close these drivers are to each other. Jonty Weiss at this point in time is at the back of the field, sitting down in 20th position. Familiaris is there in that second place, and he can see Swart disappearing down the road. We ride aboard with Atti Nagel out there in P10, and have a look at those purple sectors coming through there. Identical times for Swart and Familiaris, 58.288 for Umpi and for Julian.
Very seldom that you see to a thousandth of a second, and the timing on iRacing is extremely accurate. Look at that train, and that's all that you see there in front of Atti Nagel. That was very, very close. They almost took one another out. Right in front of him is Daniel Rowe. That's the blue car. Just in front of Daniel Rowe, that's Jaco Steyn. That's the green with a black insert. Jaco is right on the back there of Michael Steven. Michael going right towards the outside. Oh, diving up on the inside line. That was Rowe, and he touched onto the tail end of Janneman Pierce. And in fact, no, it's Jaco Steyn.
Correct.
He took Jaco Steyn out, and Jaco's dropped right to the tail end of the field. Let's have a look at that incident specifically. Oh, I think that's actually, that looks like net coding to me. Let's have another look at that. No, that's net coding. Unfortunately, no, he was not touched. Oh, that car is a total write-off, and I think that's going to be the end of the day for him. That's so disappointing. Netcode, folks, what is that? That is when you have a glitch in your system where you are linked to the server as such, and there's a glitch in your link to the server, and it does weird, strange, and wonderful things. Normally it doesn't point you in the right direction thereafter. Very unlucky for Jaco Steyn, drops down to the bottom end of the field. The biggest battle near to the front is this one. It's Jason Coetzee, and he's right in there behind Clint Mercedes.
Yeah, he's 1 second in there behind Clint Mercedes. That's in that fourth position as we ride aboard with Jason Coetzee. Jason Coetzee in that Hyundai, sitting right there behind the Audi of Clinton Mercedes. Into that banked right-hander they go, and then from there it is flat out into the final corner at Stakuba Raceway. Bit of a kink to the left, and then another one to the left as well, and then you'll find them heading towards the end of the lap. But Umpi Swart is now 3.9 seconds behind them as this group makes its ahead of Familiaris as they work their way now under that Dunlop Bridge. So we look at that front right suspension of Jason Coetzee Hyundai. That is the second last corner coming out of Stakuba now.
Yep, now you'll hear you works his way through the gearbox. Let's in fact have a look and see exactly how that works. 177, 180, 186, 188. Now you've got to feather it off right down to 140, 145. Play through there in third gear. Slowly get the hammer down. Now you can start picking up pace as you go up the hill. Fourth gear all the way. Hold it strong right up to almost 180 kilometers an hour. Taking away 100 kilometers an hour in that braking market. Down 3 gears into first gear as you go into that first tight right hand.
So right now we have a look at Jason Coetzee, who is all over the back there of Clinton Bezuidenhout. There is nothing between them. There's 0.4 of a second between Clinton Bezuidenhout and Jason Coetzee. Then Nathan Victor has been hassled there by Michael Steven. Michael Steven 0.3 of a second there behind Coetzee. Well, it shows Michael Steven. Yes, Michael Steven, and it's Nathan Victor that's just in there ahead of him. Ahead of them is Jason Coetzee. So Nathan Victor out there in that Red Bull machine, going down that long back straight into the final corner.
Well, let's actually have a look at a lap with the man himself, Umpi Swart. Let's go on board with him and let's see exactly how it works. Here he's going to go through that turn 1, turn 2. This is turn 3 as he goes in down to 71 kilometers, 60 kilometers an hour. That's a first gear corner, so you've got to be very, very smooth on the accelerator because any input on that accelerator is massive at that point. Third gear, flat foot, use all the curbstone, run it right towards the outside. Now you've got to turn it in pretty evenly. You want to apex pretty much in the center of the corner. Use the curbstone now. It's flat foot, 120, 130, up to fourth gear, 150, 160, 170. Coming onto 180 in fifth gear. Now you've got to look at that. Look how the tail end wanting to step out. He's literally steering that one with the accelerator. As you lift it off, it brings the tail end out using all the curbstone that you can find there. Going to go back up to just under 180 kilometers an hour. Stomp on the brakes again, all the way down to first gear as you come through there. Well, that just gives you an idea of what it looks like from inside the car. That being Umpi Swart, he's now got a 4-second gap back to Julian Familiaris. That again is 2 seconds further back. There he is. That's Byron Mitchell. And then coming through is that battle royal Clinton Bezuidenhout. Jason Coetzee right in there behind him. Jason Coetzee is looking for that position and he wants it pretty bad.
Yeah, and behind Jason Coetzee is Michael Steven. Michael Steven 0.7 of a second behind him. I'm not too sure what happened to Nathan Victor, because he was in that top group, has dropped all the way down to last position, and it shows that he's there in pit lane. So something happened out there to Nathan Victor, because he is now completely out of it, as Jason Coetzee sits in there just behind Clinton Bezuidenhout. 0.2 of a second. Has a look there at Clinton Bezuidenhout, and just hanging slightly to the back of the two of them is Michael Steven, and Michael's probably saying now, listen here, you guys do what you need to do. I'm going to have just a look at what you oaks are doing. And if you get it wrong, I'm going to go through. But Jason Coetzee was rubbing the back end there of Clint Bezuidenhout. And there's nothing between them. That's a battle for 4, 5, and 6. Into that hairpin left-hander they go. Michael Steven sits there. He looks at Jason Coetzee, who in turn under the Dunlop Bridge looks there at Clinton Bezuidenhout. Into that slight left-hander they go. Then there's another little left-hander, then into that second last right-handed bank corner. And then from there, as Jason rubs him again slightly, it's down that long straight, Gary, towards the final corner.
Yep, it looks like we had a bit of a problem earlier on for Umpi Swart Sr. Let's have a look, see what happened to Umpi. Or should I say to Swart Sr., that's not Umpi, that's Umpi's dad. Oh, ran it right towards the outside, no grip there. Turns it right around. Now to get going from there is going to take a bit of time. You've got to go onto that grass section. You can't cut across the track in front of anybody else. Remember, very wide turning circles. I think these cars are sitting on something like 18-inch rims, and you've got a very, very wide turning circle on that. Not sure what the situation is going to be with pit stops with this one. But although we cannot deny that Umpi Swart is the fastest man out there, I think we need to take the camera back to that massive battle. Turn Bezuidenhout right in behind Michael Steven, right in behind the Iron Man, Jason Coetzee.
Yeah, Jason Coetzee, that's that fight there for that almost towards the mid-pack, Jason Coetzee, Michael Stephen, and they've both got their noses ahead there of Clint Besaidenout. So Clint Besaidenout has dropped down to the back of that lot. Remember that they were all over the back of Clinton Besaidenout at one point in time, and now Clinton has dropped out there into that sixth position, and 3.2 seconds behind him is Daniel Rowe. So Daniel Rowe is pretty much out there on his own. So was Ati Nagel and Janneman Prius as we stick aboard with this fight. And it does look to me as if Coetzee and Stephen are beginning to edge slightly ahead there of Clint Besaidenout.
No, the pressure is pretty much between the front two. I think you're going to probably find that with Clinton Besaidenout so close to Michael Stephen at this stage of the fight, Jason Coetzee will feel there's not too much pressure on him. He's going to hope that they're going to hold one another up just a little bit. That just gives you a nice view of the circuit from upstairs, that you can see exactly what it looks like. Trying to have a look to see exactly where that line is coming through the corner. Remember, the tail end steps out very easily. If you lift off the accelerator too much, it really just brings the tail end around. So the entry into that corner is uber important. Having a dive up into turn number one is Besaidenout, and Besaidenout backs out of that. He says, Michael Stephen, I'll get you, and I'm going to get you soon.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at our front runner, Umpi Swart, and he has got already a 5.4 second gap.
Yeah, 5.4 seconds ahead of Familiaris, that's there in that second position. And then it's 3.6 seconds to Byron Mitchell, and then 3.5 to Jason Coetzee. So first, second, third, and fourth pretty much okay, but here comes Michael Stephen. He's all over the back there of Jason Coetzee. So Coetzee is not in a safety zone. You can see Byron Mitchell ahead of him, but Jason Coetzee has got Michael Stephen right on his case as they go into the right-hander. Ooh, that's the final corner of Tsukuba Raceway, as Michael Stephen is right on the case of that Hyundai of Jason Coetzee. Down the home straight they go into turn number one. He lunges up on the inside. Will the line be closed? The line will not be closed, and Michael Stephen will move up into that fourth position. But here comes Jason Coetzee back at him again. They are side by side into that right-hander. Stephen will not have the line for the left-hander as Jason closes right up on him. They are side by side. Besaidenout's got the best seat in the house, and Michael Stephen does not back out of this one. Under that Dunlop bridge they go. Jason Coetzee moving from side to side, trying to find a way around Michael Stephen as we look at the nose there of that Hyundai of Jason Coetzee, and he is crowding that back bumper there of Michael Stephen.
He got good drive coming out of that tight corner. Remember, I said you've got to get good drive out of that corner so that you can carry that pace all the way through, and that is exactly what he did. He made sure that he carried that pace very, very neatly out of that corner, and that's what's made him just that little bit of ground. Look in the background. It's Clinton Besaidenout pushing very, very hard to not lose out on that battle in front. He wants them to fight one another. It's going to bring him just that a little bit closer into the slipstream.
There's another fight going out there for P7 between Daniel Rowe and Ati Nagel. Here the two of them come. That is Ati Nagel just behind Daniel Rowe. Ati Nagel there in that Shell car, and Daniel in the Doritos car, as they head towards that Dunlop Bridge, and that is there for 7th position. So Ati Nagel having a go at Daniel Rowe. A young man that is connected to Volkswagen Motorsport is Daniel Rowe, and he is having a heck of a fight out there with Ati Nagel for that 7th position.
Well, I tell you what, it is a battle royal that's going on in numerous different positions out there. Janneman Prius, they had a bit of a problem earlier on. He finds himself starting to close now on the tail end there of Ines Botma. And then Robbie Teens, the comeback kid. We haven't seen much of him so far today. There is the man himself, Robbie Teens. He's doing a brilliant job, is Robbie. He's into that 13th position, comes nice and neatly out of the corner, up that incline. When you're sitting behind the steering wheel, you actually only realize how much that incline is. And it flattens off as you come into turn number one. It almost makes it a blind entry into that corner under the brake markers.
Yeah, but he's on the case of Werner Swart, and Jared Paul is on the case of Robbie Teens, and those are the three cars that you see there in the same shot there. That's Werner Swart, Robbie Teings and Jared Paul. And they're fighting it out there for that 12th position as they head under that Dunlop Bridge. So lovely fight for that 12th place, just out the top 10. A replay here at Carl McCarthy in the Chllenge car, just cutting the track. And lucky not to take anybody out as he rejoins once again. So replay at Jaco Steyn. Remember, he had all sorts of issues out there with computer glitches, and he is back out on track again. He'll not be happy. Way out of the fighting positions. And a replay here at Umpi Swart's dad at Yuri. Oh, once again, track limits and basically exactly the same place that he made that mistake earlier on.
Going back to the front end of the field, it's, well, his young charge is out there. That is Yuri Swart, all known to us as Umpi. He's now got 5.4 second lead at this stage of the fight. You're not going to catch him very easily from there. This young man is omnipotent behind the steering wheel of just about any car that you give him. Coming up behind him there is a Julian Familiaris, but he's got the same size gap from this man, Byron Mitchell. Byron Mitchell finds himself not in clear ground at all because Michael Stephen is slowly but surely getting closer to him. Now, Michael Stephen has broken slightly away from the Ironman Jason Kutsia, who's broken slightly away from Clinton Bezuidenhout. But frankly, we've got to go back to that Attinagel battle.
Yeah, that as we watch that fight there between Daniel Rowe and Attinagel, that fight between Stephen Kutsia and Bezuidenhout, they were all over each other at one point in time. Now there's a second plus between all of them, as Daniel Rowe sitting out there in P7 is trying his level best to keep that man Attinagel behind him, who sits there in the eighth position. Only 0.3 of a second between Daniel and Atti as they go into that banked hairpin right-hander. Attinagel seeming to be a little bit quicker than what Daniel is out of that corner. Right through the gearbox they go into that final right-hander. But there's a lovely fight going on a bit further down there, Gary, between Priya Swart and Teings and Jared Paul. And that's that fight out there for 11th position as we watch this one heading into turn one, the one between Daniel Rowe and Attinagel that sits on the outside. Will we do the cutback on him? No, we can't because Daniel too close to that rumble strip.
He made very, very sure of that one and actually closed that line off. Jared Paul getting himself into what looks like a pretty good battle now. Look at that, and that is what he's got in front of him. So it must be very, very tantalizing to be just that little bit late on the brakes, just a little bit harder on the gas. Something's going to break there in front of him, there's no doubt about it. Do you sit and wait and watch and look and learn? You're down in 40, you don't have that much to lose. All you can do is apply the pressure from behind and hope that if something sticks up on the inside, and I think he's going to make it one stick, but the next corner is going to go against him because it's on the right-hand side.
There's contact. There is contact between Jared Paul and I think it might be Janeman Prius, I think it could be. But have a look at the replay on that one. Yes, it is Janeman Prius. Let's have a look-see. There, Paul makes the move on Robbie Teings, and it's Robbie Teings that actually makes the accidental contact there.
Well. Carl McCarthy went straight up the inside and took that position away. So Carl McCarthy started to move up the leaderboard. Let's go back to the front end of the field. That is the gap between Umpi Swart and Julian Familiaris. 23 laps down, 22 and a half minutes of the 30-minute race. Can Julian Familiaris close down? I don't think so. The man that's in there behind him, Byron Mitchell, can he close down? I don't think so. Can Michael Stephen make a plan? Yes, I do think so. Let's have a look at the last lap times of these gents as they come across the start-finish line. There you can see Swart on a 59.4, a 59.3 by Julian, but that's only 1/10 of a second. There's not enough laps left there for him to do that. Everybody else in the 59s, nothing much in it whatsoever. Michael Stephen is, in fact, slightly quicker by 2/10 than Byron Mitchell, and that's why we see him closing up on that car in front of him.
Yeah, Michael Stephen done a 59.3, and as Gary was saying, Byron Mitchell a 59.5. So Michael is certainly closing up onto the back there of third place man Byron Mitchell. Attinagel Well, he's still having a heck of a fight out there with Daniel Rowe, that's in that 7th position. There's Atinagel right on that back bumper there of Daniel Rowe as they sprint down that long back straight towards the final corner. Is he going to get closer? Will he get sucked into the slipstream? No, he doesn't, as they go into that right-hander. And it's still Rowe fighting for dear life there to hang on to that 7th position.
You'll see that green section on the outside of the rumble strips, and you can see the grass even on the outside of that has got wear and tear. So a regular basis, the guys just running out of road, talent and ideas all at the same time. Michael Stevens closing. Let's go back to Michael Stevens. Look at that. Michael Stevens is within 0.6 of a second. He wants a top 3 position. To catch Byron Mitchell's one thing. To pass him is another.
Well, you've got 2 of the best there. Byron Mitchell, a top carter in the Western Province, a young man that raced GTI Challenge, raced Clubmans and races Formula Libre single-seaters at the Western Province Motor Club. And you've got Michael Stevens, ex-world karting champion is Michael Stevens, yields there from the Eastern Cape, and who's one of our top racing drivers in South Africa when it comes to real-time racing. So you do have 2 of the very best there fighting it out for that last position on the podium as we approach the final 5 minutes.
Looks like John Weiss had a bit of a problem. Well, yeah, the problem came from behind. A little nibble from behind that cost Jonty to go and do a bit of grass cutting. He'd come back on circuit. Didn't lose too much time with that back with Michael Stevens all over the back of Byron Mitchell. Is he going to go for the dive now? That is the U-turn, 180 degrees in and out. He's all over him. There is 26 laps down. There's 4.5 minutes left. This is Battle Royal for top 3.
Well, I had a quick look up there on the inside of Byron Mitchell. He's going to go for that inside line. Byron Mitchell says, you can come, you can try. I'm not going to allow you to get through, that's for sure. Out of the final corner, down the main straight they go, into turn number 1. Who has got the line? Oh, the line belongs to Mitchell, but Stephen wanted to have a lunge there on the outside and realized that's not going to work. I'm not on that line for that hairpin. I'm going to have to pull back in here behind Byron Mitchell once again. There is not much. Oh, look at that. Michael Stevens is on attack mode. He is in attack mode and he's going after Mitchell. And while this is happening, Swart and Familiaris is pulling away now from Mitchell. There's 8.8 seconds gap between Mitchell and, of course, Familiaris. That's there ahead of him, but there is nothing between Mitchell and Michael Stevens. 0.4 of a second. You can cover these 2 with a handkerchief as they head down the back main. And in the distance there, you see Jason Kutsia, and not too far behind him, Clinton Besaidenout.
Yeah, they were all together a little bit earlier on in the race, but the pace of Michael Stevens has been enough to get away from that man, Jason Kutsia, and then Clinton Besaidenout we see coming through behind that as well. And not far behind that is this man coming through, Daniel Rowe.
Yeah, that's Daniel Rowe and Atinagel. They are involved in a heck of a fight. And right there with them, only 1.9 seconds, is Brent Thompson. But we have to go back to this fight for that 3rd position. As we have a replay here at Byron Mitchell. And here comes Michael Stevens up on the inside. And he did not make... Oh, there was contact. There was contact, and that is how Stephen muscled his way ahead there of him. But I see they've changed back again, Gary.
Yeah, it looks
I
like...
think he gave that place back to him.
Well, look, he's really a gentleman out there. There's no doubt about it. He was going for a clean pass. It didn't work. And, well, there's 2 ways of doing it. You can hold on to it, make a bad friend, and probably get action. Look at that, closing off the brake marker line. I love the way he does that. Byron Mitchell closes that line off. He says, "Man, you go around the outside, that's all good and well." And he closes that brake mark off. But while they're fighting that one out, Jason Kutsia is coming closer. Can Jason become a factor with 2 minutes to go? I don't think so. I think it's taken Jason a little bit too long to get there. But with the touching of the 2 cars, slowing down and recovering that position, Michael Stevens behind Byron Mitchell, that is what has brought Jason Kutsia to it in 1.4 seconds. The battle's not over as they go side by side to top-class drivers. Does he get the drive now out of the corner? Well, he's close enough to get right in underneath that wing. And look at that, close the line off. He hasn't been there all day long, but he's got to go there now because this man in behind him, Michael Stephen, has said, I can pass you, but I'm going to go back behind you and I'm going to pass you clean as I possibly can. 1 minute 15 to go as he runs right around the outside.
Well, they are bogging each other down, and here comes Jason Kutsia. He's only 1.3 seconds behind the two of them. They are side by side. If anything goes wrong, then Jason Kutsia will move up from P5 into P3, and that's at this point in time what Kutsia is hoping for, as Michael Stephen has a lunge up on the inside there of Byron Mitchell. Kutsia says, you keep on fighting. I'm now 1.1 seconds behind you. Under the Dunlop Bridge they go into that slight left-hander as we are approaching 35 seconds on the clock, and it's still a hell of a fight out there between Mitchell, Stephen, and add Kutsia into that one as well.
Yeah, Kutsia wants to play with. He's not that far behind. There's Kutsia, but there is only 22 seconds left. Let's go back to the man that's leading out. This is his last lap, and let's ride on board with him as he works his way through into turn number 3.
Right, that is Yuri Umpiswart making his way into that left-hander. I think he might have to do one more lap. Yes, time is up, and it's only making his way under the Dunlop Bridge now. So he will have to complete this lap and do one more, as Mitchell and Stephen are still side by side. That's a replay of the two of them just going hell for leather at each other with Kutsia in there as well. That's a replay again. These two guys are not going to leave each other alone, and this could play into the hands somewhere, possibly, of Jason Kutsia.
Well, it's all over bar the shouting. 30 minutes and 20 odd seconds, and there we go, and it is Umpi that takes the win.
Umpi Swart coming home in P1. Familiaris finishing there in that second position. But here comes Byron Mitchell. Right behind him is Michael Stephen. Right behind him is Jason Kutsia. That is 3, 4, and 5. And third place will go to Byron Mitchell, just ahead there of Michael Stephen, Jason Kutsia, and riding off the top 6 is Clinton Besaidenout. But Daniel Rowe is still involved in that fight with Ati Nagel, and Rowe will finish in 7th. Nagel will end in P8.
Thompson, and here comes Ines Bortmar rounding out the top 10. There is Vanna Swartz, Carl McCarthy in the Sujin Properties car coming through in 12th, with Robbie Teings coming through there behind him. And, well, that is a massive battle that they had there as well. John T. Weiss comes through to take the checkered flag just ahead of Jared Hall. And here's the rest of the crew coming through behind that. What a brilliant, brilliant race as that was. And just having a little bit of fun there at the end. Touring Car Challenge, round number 2, Tsakuba Circuit. Yuri Umpi Swart, he was on 24 points going into this round, and he beats out on Julian Familiaris. That will make them probably level on points after these first 2 rounds.
Well, what a fight we had out there for P3, 4, and 5, and one out there for P7 as well, which means that Mitchell is the last man on the podium, followed there by Michael Stephen, Jason Kutsia, Clinton Besaidenout, Daniel Rowe, and Ati Nagel, and they finished just ahead there of Brett Thompson. And well done to Ines Botma. That is a new name to the series, and he rounds off the top 10.
Well, that is utterly brilliant. Everything we hoped for, wished for, and more. Don't forget about the guys behind that. Vanna Swartz, Carl McCarthy had that one problem. That's what dropped the young lad down. Robbie Teings, the comeback kid, he'll be disappointed being outside of the top 10. John T. Weiss, Jared Paul, he also had a problem earlier on. Janeman Prius, a man that we know for a fact can be blindingly quick. We saw him in the 6 hour, but it just wasn't going to be for him tonight. Well, Frankie, that wraps it off. Round number 2, Touring Car Challenge. Looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, remember, it's only one Monday a month, and we look forward to that Monday each and every single month, for that matter, since it started. And, yeah, 2 rounds so far. 2 rounds have been absolutely brilliant.
Round number 2 has come and gone. Where's round number 3? I don't know. Neither do these drivers. But we will be back with you in a few days from now, and we'll come to you. Alton Park, I believe. Yep, there we go. our producer Gavin Fleming telling us that Alton Park is the one that's projected for round number 3, and we'll be back with you with that one. Thanks for joining us, everybody. See you at the racetrack soon. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.